Hello everyone, welcome to this channel. My name is Ruben and today I want to discuss Snapchat with you. Snapchat missed their Q3 2021 earnings. As a result of that, the stock price dropped 27% approximately in one day to $55. Currently, the market capitalization is 87 billion. Cathie from ARK Invest bought the dip on Snapchat for their ARK ETF. But first, let's have a look at the business.
Creating a snap is simple. Snapchat opens right to the camera. Just tap the camera button to take a photo, or hold it down to record a video. When creating a snap, you can use lenses, filters, and tons of other creative tools. When you're ready, you can send it to a friend or share it with the world.
Well, the Snapchat experience basically consists of 5 core platforms. You have mapping, you can communicate to friends, family and other people, the camera to make selfies or other pictures. You can also upload stories, and the last one that they introduced is Spotlight. Zooming in on the first, camera and augmented reality. Well, the Snap camera drives the visual communication between the Snapchatters and can understand, interpret, edit and augment a scene in real time, enabling the next generation of computing. The statistics are also very interesting to me. More than 200 million Snapchatters, they engage with AR per day on average, and Snapchatters play with AR lenses more than 6 billion times per day on average. Regarding communications, well, the communications platform is where all these Snapchatters can express themselves through pictures and messages with their closest friends. And you can also play games with each other. I didn't know that. They have 39 games and 15 minis available. The third platform is Stories. Well, friend stories enable the community to create and share pictures and videos from their day with their friends in Snapchat and in chronological order, but you can also discover features that are like curated professional content from hand-selected partners. Looking at the partners, they have more than 700 partners right now in 20 countries around the world, and 15 of those more than 700 partners, they reached more than 50 million Snapchatters in the third quarter of 2021. The fourth one is the Snap Map. The Snap Map is a personalized map that connects the Snapchat community with friends and with the world around them through place listings and stories posted by the Snapchat community. Looking at the numbers, more than 250 million Snapchatters, they use SnapMap every month to find the people and places that mean the most to them. And more than 30 million businesses are on the map for their community to discover. And the last one is Spotlight. Spotlight services the most entertaining snaps created by the Snapchat community and provides a destination to share user-generated content broadly on Snapchat while remaining aligned with the privacy by design approach. I think they created Spotlight to compete with TikTok because TikTok is very popular right now. I personally don't use TikTok. Looking at the numbers, they had a more than 100% increase in content submissions versus the prior quarter, and Spotlight is currently available in more than 150 countries. The majority of people who use Snapchat have an age between 13 and 34 years. Snapchat notes that there are many common milestones in a person's life between this age range. You can get your first car, you might graduate, your first credit card. Well, I wouldn't be excited about using a credit card at all, but anyway, they listed here. You might get married or buy your first home, and Snapchat can play a role around that. There is high penetration in most established markets, mainly in the United States, United Kingdom, Australia, France and the Netherlands. Looking at the age population, well, 90% of the users, they have an age between 13 and 24 years, and 75% of them have an age between 13 and 34 years old. There's strong growth in the Snapchat community with 306 million daily active users on average. They put a graph here. Yellow represents North America, the light gray color represents Europe, and the dark gray color represents the rest of the world. And the biggest growth driver for Snapchat users is the growth of the rest of the world. Even though Snapchat is growing, there's a significant opportunity to globally expand the community. They came up with some numbers to prove that. In North America, there are approximately 400 million smartphones, and Snapchat has a 24% of penetration, which comes down to 96 million daily active users. In Europe, there are 560 million smartphones, and they have a 14% penetration of 80 million daily active users. And the rest of the world, again, is the biggest opportunity because in the rest of the world there are 2.4 billion smartphones, and Snapchat has 5% penetration of that, which comes down to 130 million daily active users. AR builds consumer confidence. It's basically the biggest opportunity that they talked about in the conference call. Snapchat believes that camera and augmented reality represents a most exciting long-term revenue opportunity, particularly as brands start to build always-on AR strategies for their business. They gave an example in the call. Ulta Beauty leveraged our GDB pixel purchase optimization for AR to bring unique makeup try-on experiences to Snapchatters, which drove over a 4 times higher return on ad spend compared to its campaign optimized per impression. And its success of the try-on lens ultimately encouraged Ulta Beauty to include AT lenses within its long-term business strategy. Looking at the numbers, over half of the Snapchatter shoppers agree that AR gives them more confidence about the product quality. More than half of the people that use AR technology to assess products, allowing for a risk-free try before you buy experience. Well, you can see that here, true size technology, wrist tracking, and shoe try-on. And there's also another advantage for AR, because the returns are a $550 billion problem currently, which AR can help to fix. And AR-guided purchases led to a 25% decrease in returns. There is a difference between AR and VR. Augmented reality and virtual reality are similar technologies, but there is a major difference between them, and their applications may vary widely. Virtual reality refers to a fully immersed experience in a virtual world, while augmented reality refers to a modified view of the real world. Augmented reality is primed to scale. Over the past few years, companies such as Snapchat, Facebook, and Apple have increased their investment in augmented reality, encouraging widespread use of AR tools on mobile devices. While you can also look at the recent news, like Microsoft, they recently earned a contract of almost worth $22 billion, and they're gonna make AR devices for the US Army. And there are also rumors from Apple that they will announce Apple glasses in 2022. Putting this in a graph, you have augmented reality market opportunity. On the x-axis we have time, and on the y-axis we have revenue in billions of US dollars. The green color represents AR smartphone revenue, and the purple color represents revenue from AR glasses. And ARK did research about this, and they actually say the following about this. By 2022, consumer-grade AR headsets should turbocharge this trend. And ARK forecasts that by 2030, the AR market could really scale from under $1 billion today to 130 billion. Last but not least, sizing the opportunity, the revenue from virtual worlds could approach $400 billion by 2025. They make a distinction between global gaming market size and global AR and VR market size. If we focus on a global gaming market size first, based on their research, the global gaming market will increase at a 16% compound annual rate during the next 5 years, from $175 billion in 2020 to $365 billion in 2025. If we now focus on global AR and VR market size, ARK says the following: the AR and VR markets will grow at a 59% compound annual growth rate during the next 5 years, from $3 billion in 2020 to $28 billion in 2025. Snapchat is very aggressive on strategic M&A. Here's a timeline of several acquisitions and M&A activities that they did. Recently, Snapchat has agreed to acquire Wave Optics, which is a supplier of augmented reality displays that power its new spectacle glasses, for more than $500 million. That's something that The Verge has learned. The deal is Snap's largest deal ever, underscoring the company's long-term bet on AR eyewear, which will eventually go mainstream for the company. Snapchat blamed the earnings miss on Apple and supply chain constraints. Earlier this year, Apple introduced a major privacy feature called App Tracking Transparency, also known as ATT, that allowed users to choose to opt out of third-party app tracking. Specifically, this means that apps can no longer collect data about users from third parties and use that data to better target them with ads, unless a user specifically gives the app permission to do so, and Snapchat suffered from this. The conference call will give you more color.
Hi, thanks for taking the question. I guess, Evan, as you think about it, we've assumed that you'd be growing sort of 60% plus in Q4 revenues, if not for, I guess, Apple and these supply chain issues. Obviously, I know you can't really comment on or solve the supply chain issues, but I guess as we think about sort of the issues going on with Apple, is getting back to a normal or getting back to sort of normal, is it a quarter away, quarters away, years? And then I think back in March, just sort of related to this, I think at March at an investor conference, you sort of talked about your confidence in growing 50% in terms of multi-year revenue growth rate. How confident are you get back to that, again, whether it's quarters, or years?
Hey, Rich, thanks so much for the question, and share your disappointment. This has definitely been a frustrating setback for us. But I think over the long term, these privacy changes and protecting privacy for users of iOS and, of course, the Snapchat community is really important to the long-term health of the ecosystem and something that we fully support. I think when we saw these changes coming, our primary focus was the performance of our advertising platform in the face of this signal loss. So could we still really drive advertising performance, optimize campaigns, make sure our ads were in front of the right people? And we spent the vast majority of our engineering time and effort and energy making sure our ads were still really effective. And we did all sorts of revenue back testing to make sure that we could be revenue neutral. And we were really confident in our ability to drive results with our advertising platform despite the signal loss. But what I think we really underestimated were the tooling changes. And so what I mean by that specifically is that advertisers have essentially for a long time now used a set of really sophisticated tools to measure and optimize their campaigns. So that allows them to test out a bunch of different creative and see what's performing more effectively, and so on and so forth. And the big change there was that with these new Apple changes, those tools were essentially rendered blind, and in their place, Apple released a new product called SK Ad Network that allows advertisers to measure across different advertising platforms, but without a lot of the flexibility that they're used to. So for example, you can only really measure your advertising results using the success parameters that Apple has already defined. The reporting is delayed for a significant period of time and often unavailable if you don't hit a certain threshold of conversions. It's very hard to see performance on a creative level, but of course it does have the benefit of being able to look across different advertising platforms. So what we've done is built our own solution called Advanced Conversions that allows people to do much more sophisticated things and really get the benefits of a lot of flexibility using the Advanced Conversions product, so they can understand performance at the creative level, optimize for down funnel conversions and things like that. And we've been working really hard to make that solution more effective and help advertisers on board. But the obvious challenge with Advanced Conversions is that it only has Snapchat first party data. It doesn't have the benefit of looking across all of the other advertising platforms. So what advertisers essentially have to do is use both of those tools, SK Ad Network and Advanced Conversions. And the way that they're able to understand the performance of both is by running incrementality testing, for example, that shows you how performant your advertising is on different platforms. And that process, adopting SK Ad Network, adopting Advanced Conversions, running incrementality testing, and really building trust in these new solutions after the tooling you've been using for a decade has essentially gone away, that just takes time and is really challenging. So, we definitely underestimated that impact for advertising partners. We're working through it. We've certainly seen some early signs of success, but it's going to take a little while. I think the good thing is that we remain very confident in the underlying performance of our advertising products. And when we look at incrementality testing, when we look at first-party data like on-platform swipes or installs, things like that, we see that those conversions are still happening at similar rates that they did in the past. So I think we can work through the tooling issues. It'll take time because they're new, but the underlying performance of the advertising platform is still very strong.
Hey, Rich, it's Derek speaking. I'll take the second half of your question as it pertains to the long-term growth opportunity of the business. The first thing I'd share here is that we believe the fundamentals of our business are intact, and we remain confident in the long-term growth potential of the business. We believe we've made significant progress on demonstrating the capacity of our business to drive elevated growth rates over time. So for example, we've now exceeded 50% year-over-year growth for 5 consecutive quarters, and we've delivered a 2-year cumulative average growth rate of 55%. That said, we are seeing significant headwinds heading into Q4 that are driving a near-term deceleration in our top line, including the iOS ad changes that Evan just spoke about, as well as the supply chain disruptions and labor market headwinds. While the challenges we face in the near term are significant, we believe they are transitory. We believe the fundamentals of our business remain strong. Our community is growing at the fastest rates we have reported in more than 4 years. We continue to have deep penetration of hard-to-reach audiences in the most attractive advertising markets in the world. And measurement issues aside, our ads continue to drive impact, and we continue to have significant opportunities to expand our monetization to more screens within our app in order to grow our ARK over time. So we continue to be focused on investing in our teams and our products in order to overcome the near-term challenges and to support the long-term growth of our business.
Snapchat's financials, revenue by geography in millions of dollars. From a global point of view, on the top left, revenue grew plus 57% year over year to almost $1.1 billion in the third quarter of 2021. North America grew plus 60% to $787 million. Europe grew a little bit slower with plus 49% year over year to $153 million. And the rest of the world grew with 53% year over year to 127 million. The average daily active users is growing for Snapchat in millions of units. From a global point of view, year over year, they grew plus 23% to 306 million daily active users. If you split it out, for North America, it's plus 7% to 96 million in the third quarter. Europe has a growth rate of 11% year over year to 80 million. And the biggest opportunity, what I told you earlier, is that the rest of the world, they grew plus 49% year over year to 130 million users. So what is the average revenue per user? Well, from a global level, they grew at plus 28% year over year to $3.49. We can split it out again. For North America, that's the continent where they're making the most money, plus 49% to $8.20 in the third quarter of 2021. Europe is significantly less, plus 34% to $1.92. And the rest of the world, that's basically flat in terms of average revenue per user, plus 3% to $0.98. The net loss and adjusted EBITDA in millions of dollars. Not surprisingly, Snapchat is still making a loss, focusing on the left in net loss. It currently improved. From the last year, it was minus 29% in the third quarter of 2020. But you see improvements here to minus 7% in the third quarter of 2021. Looking at adjusted EBITDA, it's positive with 16% in the third quarter of 2021. So what are the opportunities for Snapchat? Well, from a general point of view, there is enough user growth left. Snapchat currently has 306 million daily active users. Compared to Facebook, they have 1.9 billion. So there's like a lot of room left to grow. The biggest growth driver right now is also, in terms of continents, the rest of the world. Snapchat continues to see meaningful opportunities, for instance, Spotlight, to expand its monetization to more screens within its app in order to grow average revenue per user. And the biggest opportunity is going to be AR, because they literally said it in a conference call. Snapchat believes that camera and augmented reality represents a most exciting long-term revenue opportunity, particularly as brands start to build on AR strategies for their business. So you're gonna have AR shopping, AR advertising, and I think indeed that's going to be very big. Augmented reality is primed to scale. ARK Invest forecasts that by 2030, the AR market will scale from $1 billion today to 130 billion in 2030. Well, Snapchat can take market share from that. And then some general points. Snapchat is generating enough relevant entertainment content for their user base. The company is very aggressive on M&A, and they will also continue to do that in the future. I like it when a company is like very bullish and aggressive on M&A. At least if it fits their strategy. And lastly, Snapchat has a lot of partnerships, whether it's in commerce or videos and so forth. And what about Snapchat's risks? Well, Apple iOS privacy update had a higher than expected detrimental impact on Snap's short-term revenue growth trajectory. This was exacerbated by Apple's new iOS 15 upgrade in September, which sends even lesser signals to advertisers to measure ad performance, exacerbating uncertainty for the advertisers for Snapchat. Furthermore, advertisers have noted supply chain disruptions and higher labor costs, which will impact profitability. Overall, I believe that both concerns will be temporary and that the business fundamentals for Snapchat and also these growth opportunities will remain strong for the future. I would like to thank everyone for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and that you actually learned something, and see you on the next one.